Alright guys, so today we're going to be rapping in Bandlab. So today I am going to introduce to you Bandlab, um, which is an online workstation that allows you to work with audio. And we'll kind of talk through a little bit about how to use Bandlab, when you might use Bandlab, how to work in the interface, and hope to, by the end of the lesson, to have at least a fundamental grasp on working with audio and the loops section in Bandlab. So let's get started. So, rapping in Bandlab. So, Bandlab, what is it? How can we use it? So, Bandlab is an online application or app. It's a digital audio workstation or DAW, similar to GarageBand, Audacity, Logic, or Pro Tools. It's geared towards education, so it has a strong K through 12 presence, support for educational programs, and has classrooms built in, which we're going to be using heavily throughout the year. It's cloud-based, so if you're working on a Chromebook or you're working on your phone, you don't have to worry about audio storage. It's accessible on iOS, so your iPhone will work, Windows, Android, Apple, and Chromebook. It's multifunctional in the idea that users can record audio or MIDI using virtual instruments, and they can also use pre-recorded loops. We'll talk a little bit more about the difference between audio and MIDI and the loops section when we get into the interface. This is a little bit more detailed, but loops can be stretched to fit different tempos. And so we've talked about tempos. Tempo refers to how fast or how slow the kind of general feel of a song might be. So sort of what we would call the macro beat. So what you essentially are kind of bobbing your head to in a song, that would be the tempo, right? So if a drum loop is too fast, it can be stretched or slowed down to match the user's song's tempo. And last, both audio and MIDI can be mixed using built-in effects such as equalization, compression, distortion, noise gating, and time-based effects such as delay, chorus, flanger, or phaser. So if we have any guitarists in the room, they'll definitely be familiar with the distortion and perhaps also be familiar with some of the other ones like delay and chorus, which are commonly found in guitar pedals or sometimes built into guitar amplifiers as well. We probably won't touch on this today, but these are some of the more detailed possibilities that we'll get to when talking about post-production. So after we've recorded our song, how can we make it sound better? How can we make it sound more polished, more radio friendly? So today we will use Bandlab to record audio of ourselves using the built-in microphone with our web camera and combine it with a drum loop. So let's get started. Let's jump right into Bandlab. Where is Bandlab? Here's Bandlab. Okay, so this is Bandlab. This is the educational side of things. Students won't see exactly like this, but when you click into the music production class, which I have many different classes, when you click into Music Production 101, you'll see 8-bar rap. That is this assignment. So what you will do from there, you can preview the assignment, but we won't get into that. But what you'll do is you'll open the mix editor window, and this will open the kind of the bulk of the Bandlab application. So now, here, let me just clear these out. We're going to start from the beginning. So this is what you're faced with. This is what you're greeted with when you enter into Bandlab. So it prompts you. There are no tracks, so you have to choose one. Today, since we're going to start with our vocal recording, we're going to choose voice or mic. And so this captures your voice or any sound using the microphone that's built into your web camera, perhaps your laptop, or if you have a dedicated microphone that is connected to your computer via USB or an audio interface, you would use this. So you would click voice and mic, and instantly it opens a track named voice and mic. And then on the bottom part down here, you can see that you can choose what your input would be, and with that input on your computer. So this is essentially what physical analog input you have in your computer. So a plug, it chooses how many of those channels you're using. So if you're just using the left channel, the right channel, or both, if you have a stereo recording coming in. So for now, we're going to choose whichever input would link to your web camera. So for me, it's this one. And instantly I could see the fader moving, which is telling me that the web camera is interfacing with Bandlab, and that sound is coming in and it is working. Okay, so I could also choose this button here, which will let me monitor. And so now I can hear myself talking into Bandlab, which is very strange. So I'm going to turn that off. Okay, so I turned that off. So we have an assignment brief on the right-hand side. This sidebar tells you the instructions. For now, it's very pared down. And any attachments would be seen here if I included lyrics or anything like that that I wanted the students to use. Okay, so we have our voice and mic channel. You don't need to press any buttons to make sure that it records. It will do so on its own. For now, I'm going to change the name to rap. Okay. I could change the track color if I'd like. I'm going to go with blue because blue is my favorite color. And here you could even choose special effects that are built in. You can have punchy rap effects, modern hook, large studio reverb if you wanted to sound like you're a big choir in a big hall, 70s pop if you want to have a little bit more of a vintage kind of sound. But for now, we're just going to leave that off, and we're just going to focus on getting a decent recording. I have this project already set up, but here's our tempo. We have 80 beats per minute, which is somewhat slow, but I think it's at a speed that anyone can read. And so that's where we're going to start. Because we're only working with drums, we don't need to worry about our key. Okay, so off the bat, let's just review what we have. So we have our main window here, which will show any recordings, any loops, any virtual instruments like a piano built into Bandlab's tools, right? So that'll all appear right here. On the right-hand side, we have our assignment brief. And then on the lower side of the interface, we have our input and which channel we're using, and the option to be able to hear in Bandlab what the application is capturing from our microphone. So before I record, I want to make sure a few things. One, I want to make sure that I am muted if I am not looking to hear myself back. So we're going to mute our rap. This way we don't hear ourselves talking, which can kind of throw things off sometimes. So we're going to keep that off for right now. And then we also want to make sure here that we have this button, which says, if you zoom in close, you'll see it says enable metronome. So we want to make sure that we enable our metronome. That will give us a click track or a metronome, something that we can sing along to and be able to keep our time with. Okay, so here comes the most exciting part of all and the most embarrassing part of all. I'm going to throw my hat into the ring and read my 8-bar rap. So I'm going to zoom this in a little bit, and we'll give it a shot. Let's see what happens. It will give you a 4-beat count off. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you begin. My name is John, and I teach middle school strings. I can also play the drums and many other things. This rap won't win a Grammy, but I thinks it makes a case. With the power of Bandlab, our rap skills are ace. And that is that. And one take, boom. I can definitely land myself a job in any hit studio in New York City. Let's listen back. Oh, we should unmute when we want to listen back. My name is John, and I teach middle school strings. I can also play the drums and many other things. This rap won't win a Grammy, but I thinks it makes a case. With the power of Bandlab, we will do that one more time. Okay. I'm going to give myself an extra bar just because my rap actually starts before the downbeat. So you'll hear where I say my name is John. So my name is beat 1. So my falls before that, which actually causes some complications. So we'll give ourselves an extra beat. My name is John, and I teach middle school strings. I can also play the drums and many other things. This rap won't win a Grammy, but I think it makes a case. With the power of Bandlab, our rap skills are ace. Okay. Unmute. My name is John, and I teach middle school strings. I can also play the drums and many other things. This rap won't win a Grammy, but I think it makes a case. With the power of Bandlab, our rap skills are ace. So it's not perfect, but for the sake of our lesson, we will go with that. So I'm just going to click on the lower hand side down here, and there's a little circle that has what looks like a bracket with an arrow. That tells us that if we hover around this corner, we can actually drag and remove or erase any of the audio beforehand in case there's just silence and we don't want to hear the sound of the room or the sound of the microphone just hissing. So we can actually pull that out. And one thing I forgot to mention is that Bandlab, similar to Pro Tools or GarageBand, is non-destructive, and that means that I can actually go back and it's still there. I didn't actually erase it. I just kind of hid it from the speakers or from us listening back. And similarly over here, you can see that I can just drag it to where I need it to be. So we have our wrap. Now we're going to add a loop. So there's 2 ways of doing this. For right now, we're going to do it what I think is the simplest way. And so down here in the bottom right corner, you'll see 4 tabs. You'll see assignment brief, which is the sidebar that we see now, lyrics and notes, loops, and MIDI mappings. MIDI mappings we're not going to deal with until later on in the classroom. We don't really need to worry about that for right now. But so we're going to click on loops, and that pulls up this page here, this sidebar here, which it shows collections of packs in relation to different genres. So if you're into lo-fi, you have 4 different packs to pull from. Dark, which I think is more of a broad term, you have 8 packs. We're actually going to go up to the top here, and there's another tab that says packs itself. We're going to click that. And that pulls up this, which is sort of the main section where you can browse through your loops. So we have all different kinds, and you can preview them by clicking the little play button. Or there's Zulu porridge. funk drums. The thing that I like about Bandlab is that the loop section is incredibly robust, and the sound of them is great. They actually all sound very convincingly like what they are suggesting in the description that they sound like. For example, the thrash metal guitars and bass. I mean, they sound rock and roll. It's great. So we're gonna go down here. I'm gonna pick Bless 'em Bless.
Oh yes, bless and bless.
Okay, so we have like a very much super modern kind of trap feel. So I'm just gonna go into it. All you need to do is click on the Bless and Bless. You need to click on the title. So if you click onto that, it opens up into this, which is a window that has each individual loop available in this pack. So we have not just one bass, but we have 10 different bass samples. So we have them in different keys as well. So if you were writing a song, it tells you the name of the loop. It tells you what particular instrument it might be. It tells you the tempo that this loop was recorded at. And remember, we can stretch things, which we will do now. And then it also gives you the key signature. So we aren't working with that this very moment, but you can also change the key of these loops. It will shift to whatever key that you are in if you like the sound of that loop. So I'm going to pick one of these loops here. For now, I'm going to pick drum loop number 3. So now this is at 102 beats per minute, which is significantly faster than what we're at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, drag, and if I drop it exactly where it tells me to, drop a loop or an audio MIDI file here, it drops the loop and it creates a brand new track to match. So my loop is in the middle of the screen and my rap is far off to the right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag, click and drag my loop until I see that the white line that appears on the left-hand side of the loop aligns with the downbeat of my rap. So it needs to, because we started a measure late, it needs to start at beat 2. For now, we're just going to be using a 4-bar loop. Even though I suggested an 8-bar loop for the sake of time, I'm just going to keep it a 4-bar loop. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is volume and panning. Though we won't really be using it here, we can listen back and we can make some choices about how loud we want my rap to be and how loud we want the drums to be. So let's take a listen back. My name is John and I teach middle school strings. I can also play the drums and many other things. This rap won't win that Grammy, but I think it makes a case. With the power of Bandlab, our rap skills are ace. So my rap is considerably more quiet than this loop. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the volume of the drum loop and bring it down. Let's just start with something like 6 decibels. And we haven't spoken about what the value of a decibel is and what it might sound like, but for now we're just going to play around with a little bit and use our ears and kind of make on-the-fly decisions. My name is John and I teach middle school strings. I can also play the drums and many other things. This rap won't win that Grammy, but I think it makes a case. With the power of Bandlab, our rap skills are ace. So I like the volume where it's at there. Now the last thing is I want to make this sound a little bit more professional. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into the option where I can kind of change the sound of um, this audio using some presets. So let's click these three dots, scroll down to preset, and I'm just going to go with punchy rap and see how it sounds. My name is John, and I teach middle school strings. I can also play the drums and many other things. This rap won't win a Grammy, but I think it makes a case. With the power of Bandlab, our rap skills are ace. So already you can hear that this sounds a lot better. Um, Great. So what I'd like to do in the future is take this lesson and expand on it a little bit. We would look at adding different kinds of melodic instruments. So maybe we would add guitar, we would add a melody, we might add some strings, we might add some synths to it. We might even pull from one of the many other different packs, try to combine, maybe add something that is a bit crazy and off the wall, like some saxophone or some guitar loop effects. And then later get into the idea of adding effects to process the sound that we're hearing, which would mean that we would be adding compression or EQ or equalization or adding different kinds of things. So, for example, going into the effects window and then choosing things like delay, distortion, different kinds of compression like this or this one here, and or the feedback compressor, and then using that to kind of change the sound to make it more aggressive, to make it more laid back, to make it more punchy, um, and kind of give it a more modern and radio friendly sound. But for now, I hope this lesson was useful, and I hope that everyone keeps continuing to use BandLab to create their own mixes. Thanks.
Hi, John. My name is Charlene. I work at the Rutgers Alternate Route office. I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for sharing your lesson. I thoroughly enjoyed learning about BandLab. I feel like I learned so many things, and I really appreciate your authenticity and vulnerability in sharing your rap and using it for a demo lesson.